found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her, and in order to cover up.
Buckingham Palace has never felt heavier. Behind gilded doors and centuries-old portraits, a truth has been buried. One that Prince William can no longer keep silent about. For years, the world has watched a family fracture in real time. But what actually happened before Prince Harry walked away? The answer isn't what you think. Right now, millions are asking the same question. Was Meghan Markle the victim of a cruel institution? Or was there something else at play? Something that William saw from the very beginning, but couldn't say out loud? Before we dive deeper, ask yourself this. What would you do if someone you love chose a stranger's version of reality over yours? What if that choice didn't just hurt you, it dismantled everything you were raised to protect? This is Prince William's truth. And it changes everything. The moment everything changed, there are farewells that mark you. Farewells that strip away sleep. That replay in your mind at 3 o'clock a.m. when the palace is silent and the weight of duty presses down like stone. For Prince William, one farewell has haunted him more than any other. The day his brother, Prince Harry, chose to leave. The world cheered. They called it brave, modern, necessary. A man protecting his wife from the cruelty of an outdated system. But here's what the headlines never asked. What really happened behind those closed doors? Before Harry walked away, William remembers the conversations that were cut short, the warnings that went unheard. And most of all, he remembers her, Meghan Markle. Not a villain, not a victim, but someone who completely altered the way Harry saw his family, his duty, and himself. I've kept this truth to myself for a long time, William admits. Not out of fear of public opinion, but because I knew that saying it out loud could unravel everything my brother has tried to build. But silence has its limits. And now, with years of distance and perspective, William is ready to speak. Because the story you've been told, it's only half the truth. The question no one wants to answer. Let's be honest. When you think about Harry and Meghan's exit, what comes to mind? A fairy tale romance crushed by tabloid racism? A modern woman suffocated by archaic royal rules? A husband protecting his wife at all costs? Those narratives are powerful. They're clean. They fit perfectly into the hero versus villain structure we crave. But reality is rarely that simple. Here's what William wants you to consider. What if the most dangerous thing wasn't the British press or the palace protocol? What if it was the lens through which Harry began seeing everything? A lens carefully placed in front of his eyes by someone who knew exactly how to use it. Think about it. From the moment Meghan entered the royal family, every interaction, every tradition, every cautious piece of advice was suddenly reframed. Not as protection, not as guidance, but as control, oppression, attack. And once that lens was in place, there was no removing it. To understand how deep this fracture runs, you have to go back to 1997, back to two boys, ages 15 and 12, walking behind their Mother's coffin in front of millions of cameras. We grew up in the same palace. William reflects, but with two very different roles. I was being prepared to inherit the throne. Every step was planned. Every emotion had to be controlled. Harry was different. He was allowed to drift off course. Partly because I carried the burden of being the proper one for both of us. 4 years, that dynamic worked. From the late 2000s to early 2000s, William and Harry were described as unusually close. Joint tours, charity work, military engagements. They stood on the same side, facing the world together. William believed that fragile balance would last. He was wrong. In 2011, William married Catherine. His family responsibilities entered a new chapter. But the royal rhythm remained steady. Ceremony, discipline, the unspoken rule. That personal life must serve collective stability. Then, from 2012 to 2015, Harry served in the military. He returned with stories very different from William's. More grounded, harsher, far less patient with old rules. William noticed the change, but saw it as a normal transition for a young man returning from the battlefield. He didn't see the storm coming. 2016, the year everything shifted. June 2016. Britain votes to leave the European Union. The country is shaken. The royal family is navigating turbulent political waters. And in the middle of this chaos, Harry introduces them to someone new. Not a British woman, not someone who understood the royal family's delicate ecosystem, but Meghan Markle, an American actress accustomed to writing her own story and selling it to the public. From the very first meetings, there was no open conflict, no raised voices, William recalls. But with a lifetime of experience inside the royal family, I recognized something deeply unsettling. She did not enter this family to adapt. She entered with a strategy. Questions surfaced immediately, even if no one voiced them aloud. Why did everything have to move so fast? Why was the American press given access before the British press? Why was the story already being framed as victims versus oppressors? By the end of 2016, the palace was issuing unusual statements. Not to confirm the relationship, but to limit media damage to those inside. This was a clear warning sign. A personal relationship was creating institutional risk. I did not oppose my brother's love, William says carefully. But I began asking a question no one wanted to hear at the time. If this story was not controlled from the start, who would pay the price for it? Harry stopped listening. He began to see every warning as control, every caution as oppression. And it was at that moment that William realized something chilling, the past that haunted the present. Before becoming the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle had a past. Everyone does. But what concerned William wasn't the existence of that past, it was how it kept repeating. From 2008 to 2011, Meghan appeared regularly in entertainment sections as a young actress searching for her breakthrough. She married producer Trevor Engelson in 2011. The marriage ended in less than 2 years. Many tabloids described the break up in harsh terms, emphasizing the speed, the geographic distance, the shifting career priorities. There was no official conclusion, but a narrative began forming in the media. Moving fast. Leaving fast. From 2013 to 2016, while starring in Suits, American media portrayed Meghan as someone actively building a personal brand. Articles discussed her lifestyle blog, the TIG, her connections in entertainment, her hands-on approach to managing her image. In Hollywood, that's normal. In the royal family, it's a risk signal. During that same period, outlets reported strained family relationships, distance from certain relatives, disagreements played out publicly. The accuracy of individual details was always debated, but the common thread was clear. Meghan's personal relationships rarely ended quietly. Then came 2016. Within months of her relationship with Harry becoming public, international media had already constructed two opposing narratives. Meghan as victim of the British press and the royal family as a cold, outdated system. These stories spread rapidly, especially in the United States, where the idea of a modern woman confronting an ancient institution was warmly received. What made me cautious wasn't the support Meghan received, William explains. It was the speed at which a complete narrative took shape. In a very short time, the articles already had characters, motives, and conclusions. And when a media narrative is framed that early, everything that follows gets pulled in the same direction. So ask yourself, was this narrative organic or was it engineered? Early 2017, the rift between William and Harry didn't begin with shouting. It began with a conversation, one that Harry would later describe as controlling, but William saw as survival. According to several royal sources, William spoke to Harry privately, not to forbid, but to caution. Slow down. In the royal family, slowing down isn't control. It's protection. It's giving yourself time to see clearly, to understand what you're stepping into, to separate genuine love from a beautifully constructed narrative. Harry didn't accept that advice. And that was the first time William realized his role as older brother no longer held weight. At that moment, William admits, I understood something terrifying. Harry was no longer listening to family. He was listening to someone who had convinced him that family was the problem. By the end of 2017, Harry and Meghan began assembling their own media team, separate from the traditional royal communication structure. The press called it proactive. Inside the palace, it was seen as a declaration of independence. When royals start telling their stories in different directions, unity begins to dissolve. 2018, the wedding and what came after. May 19, 2018. The world watched a fairy tale wedding. Millions celebrated. The optics were perfect. A modern biracial American woman joining the British monarchy. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. According to royal observers, Meghan reportedly declined several customs, including working with long-serving royal advisors. She questioned processes that were considered non-negotiable. For Harry, it was about protecting his wife. For William, it signaled a fundamental lack of respect for a structure that had stood for centuries. I understood. Wanting to modernize, William reflects. But modernizing means evolving within the system. What I witnessed was something different. An attempt to rewrite the rules entirely without understanding why they existed in the first place. After the wedding, the third and most significant action occurred. Harry and Meghan requested a level of media control and security unprecedented for non-working